testing untested applications. And I mean that in the context of, again, systems modernization, maybe legacy applications that you want to modernize, right? And so I want to just like talk about the two different types of tests that you can potentially add. And one of them is adding unit tests, right? So I've tried this in a very messy code base as well, where I was trying to work on a ticket where the code that I was changing did not have a unit test yet, right? And so the problem, of course, is that when you have code that doesn't have any unit tests yet, sometimes you have an existing test suite and it just doesn't have very good coverage, right? But if there's no unit test yet, then usually the code is also not designed to be testable, right? So it's kind of like often hard to mock things because there's no dependencies that you can pass from the outside. Or in my case, when I was trying this in that code base, the input parameters was like a complicated, deep network of objects. And I was having a really hard time actually setting up these objects. And AI kept generating code for me, and I kept running into null pointer exceptions because there was yet another object that wasn't initialized and yet another object that wasn't initialized. And so I think it's a really valid hypothesis to say that if you do not have unit tests yet, AI will also have a really hard time generating those unit tests because the code will not be suitable for it yet. However, then, of course, you can look at maybe broader tests, right? Like regression tests that will then at least help you a little bit as a safety net as you change things, or that you can maybe apply to a new application that you build. And there, of course, it can either be for APIs or for user interfaces. I think for APIs, it depends on what the logic behind it is, right? You might run into that creating test data problem again, right? So if you think about large organizations that have a lot of different services where the test data actually has to be consistent between multiple parts, then like an end-to-end test of an API might also be hard to set up, and AI might also not be able to help you with that. But something that where I've recently seen some interesting things is creating end-to-end tests for AI with AI for user interfaces. So here's an example of one of multiple products, I think, at the moment that are popping up that do this. This one is called QA.tech. And what these products do is basically they first use a multimodal model that is fine-tuned and really good at dealing with snapshots or screenshots of user interfaces. And you kind of let that model analyze your existing application and go through all of the interfaces and understand and create a model, a graph of what that application looks like. And then these, with that graph, you can actually have AI execute acceptance tests, but also, of course, you could try and have it generate code for it. Or in the case of many of these tools, the tests are actually then created or specified in natural language as well, right? That you just say in natural language, click the send button. And even maybe if the send button's text changes, right, the AI would still understand, okay, it's now the OK button. That's probably what I have to click, right? So there's like multiple parts here. Analyzing an existing application and see like what does the test need to look like. And then in the second step, you could either generate tests in a more traditional way, like Playwright or something, or actually have AI also execute them.